part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Episode 13 coming at you.
Take 47.
Take 47 because we do not have an editor or a producer in-house.
Not a little bit, and we are not technically savvy.
And I'm about to throw a MacBook Pro through a wall.
It's been a little bit frustrating, and what you guys don't really understand is how much amazing content we've recorded that you'll never hear because it was a mess.
Yeah.
We've gotten into this episode 10 minutes in, like 3 times.
I'm angsty at this point.
Yeah. Beer. It'll help.
I know. But I got a big day tomorrow. Big long drive.
You do? You're going to Nashville.
Yeah. Only thing better than Vegas is Nash Vegas. That's what they always say.
Is that what they always say?
That's what I've always heard.
Who are they?
Anyway, so we're happy to have you. I'm Jason.
I'm Gary,
This is the sports podcast for
the sports collector.
hey man,
Yeah, we
teamwork makes
pulled it
the
off.
dream work.
It does.
That's good stuff.
And DreamWorks made Shrek.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna do that. Are you the one that wrote that on the whiteboard?
No, I
at
think
work?
my son was, though.
Okay, that's really good. Hey, before we get too far into this episode, I want to take a moment just so everybody can try to imagine this outfit that I'm seeing in front of me.
Listen, so this dude is
I know
just
that-
salty because I make fun of his clothes occasionally.
Can I make fun of you now? All
Well, you can, but there's nothing to make fun of.
right, so Gary is about 6'4".
my
He's
outfit's
shrink. He's
legit.
an incredible shrinking man. He's just so decrepit. All your joints are blown out.
That's 100%
Hardly
true.
any cartilage.
That's 100%
Like
true.
you have so many MRIs and all this coming up that you refuse to do. You're aging out. I know I sound like an ageist right now. I know you're a lot older than me. It's fine. But this outfit is somebody trying a little too hard.
No, I like my outfit.
I would have guessed you grew up in this era without you wearing these outfits. Although you're probably a young adult for these things.
The thing that's crazy about your whole commentary here is we've been friends for a long time, and you know that I am literally the least try-hard person that you know. I don't care at all.
All right, so what I'm looking at is a neon Game Boy t-shirt
Yep, it's legit.
and Beavis and Butthead socks.
Yeah.
In addition to that, so we've got, the retro feel, retro vibe. He's just
Yeah.
wearing straight up dad cargo shorts.
Yeah, the pockets are important.
Gray t-shirt, white khakis.
They're not white. They're like khaki.
They're not khaki.
They're close.
This is closer to khaki.
No, that's gray.
This is not gray. Are you blind?
Grayish brown.
Grayish brown. I'll give you that. You
Okay.
can have that one. But
I'm wearing the Meat Mills. I got the
I
hardcore
knew you're
on.
going to reference your shoes.
Yeah.
This isn't a podcast about shoes,
No,
Gary.
but we could do one of those.
No, we couldn't because I don't care.
I do. I got a lot of shoes.
Jordan 3s or forget about it. That's how I live my life.
See, 4s are better. 1s are even better.
So I don't care. I don't care.
Okay.
I'm not a tryhard like you. For someone that's not a tryhard, you sure do have some
I just
strong...
happen to know about shoes. I like shoes. I have a lot
Anyway,
of
this
tennis shoes.
is about sports. Sports cards, the hobby. We're glad that you're joining us.
Yeah.
We're going to jump right into some NBA news.
Let's
so
do it.
If you are a super Kyrie collector,
You're screwed. I mean, it's that simple. If the only thing that would make the whole Kyrie situation better is if Vegas Dave had dumped like $5 million into Kyrie, then I would just be sitting here giggling like a 8-year-old. I'd be so happy.
what would it sound like?
Like that.
Did you have a lot of friends when you were 8?
No, not really.
Wonder why.
I was just a deep voiced giggle at 8
Yeah,
years
so,
old.
all right. So, so Kyrie is, we've got some news. So
He's not playing
if you haven't heard,
basketball.
he's not going to be playing basketball. The team's telling him he's got to get a vaccine. He says, I'm choosing not to do that. And they said, you can make that choice. We're choosing not to let you play basketball. So once again, this powerhouse team that has so many studs is going to be without someone that is, a significant key player in the
Yeah.
strategy and the scheme here. And just when collectors thought, oh, this is going to be a great time, maybe you've been buying in the off season, Kyrie hanging on to some stuff because there have been a few dips over the years with different episodes that we've dealt with Kyrie.
Like the flat earther
Yeah.
and the forcing his way out of 2 different cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what were you saying a little bit ago about Kyrie?
On episode 40, on take 42.
Yeah.
Well, I said a few things about Kyrie. I mean, at the end of the day, I hold 2 conflicting viewpoints about Kyrie, and I will stand by both of them. The first one is that Kyrie's an idiot. And the second one is that I have a grudging respect for his idiocy because he's at least consistent. And if he says he believes something, you're not going to shake him off of that. So I can respect that while also maintaining that he's an idiot. So at this point, he's not mad at the Nets. The Nets aren't mad at him. They're just not going to let him play basketball, and he's cool with that. They're not going to pay him, and he's cool with that.
Do you think this comes to a resolve during this basketball season?
No, I don't know that it does, and I don't know that it ever will because we've reached the point. This is probably getting. I don't want to get political, but we've reached a point as a society where the entire concept of this health crisis has become political.
Yeah,
and people are digging their heels in for no reason other than they want to dig their heels in about something. So the idea that we're going to need to be vaccinated against COVID and different strains of COVID isn't going away anytime soon.
Right.
This is here for years.
Yeah.
And large corporations and business entities like the NBA, the NFL are going to start telling people, if you want to be a part of this, you have to be vaccinated. And some people are going to not. And I mean, the thing with Kyrie, though, is like, it's not like he wasn't going to miss 20 games this year because he was going to go like serve food at a homeless shelter or march in a march or go dig wells in Central Africa.
Yeah, but that's Tim Tebow's job. That's Tim Tebow's job. That's his space. It's his arena. He's not an elite athlete at that level like Kyrie.
You could have just left. He's not no, he actually was an athlete, but I would never.
Yeah, he's not an elite professional athlete at that level. Tim Tebow can have that space. Kyrie, there are people who went heavily on investing in you, and now who's going to get your touches? So how does that impact
James Harden?
Yeah.
James Harden gets to be James Harden again. Instead of scoring 20 and 10, he'll go 38 and 10.
But man, Harden and KD, where's the distributor?
Harden.
You think he'll see it?
He always has. People think Harden's like this volume scorer, and he is, but he also averages 8 to 10 assists a game.
That's true.
Every year, and he draws a lot of fouls, and he's perfectly content to drive the lane and kick the ball out to KD for a three. The real question is do you think when Tim Tebow heard this about Kyrie, he called his agent, went, get me a tryout with the Nets?
Could be.
I think there's a chance that happened.
Yeah. If Urban has any connections, I'm sure he'll get a
God.
look. That's the only sport left for him. I have a hunch that Tim Tebow only shoots hook shots.
I have a hunch that we're going to see Tim Tebow on the U.S. curling team in 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
And he's just going to be blessed and happy to be there.
Do you think when he finishes sweeping and the little puck rock thing lands in the circle that he'll hit his knees and just like...
Yeah, the Newsboys will start playing.
Peter Furler will get on the drums and he'll turn upside down.
My God's not dead. He's surely alive.
Oh, this episode's taking a hard turn.
All right.
Hard turn.
So the Kyrie is definitely going to have an impact for those of you that have been collecting, buying in some of these episodes.
Don't buy it
dips.
anymore.
Like this is
and you're stuck with
probably,
it.
of all the things we're seeing, this is one of the more rational things that's taking him out of the game for a while.
Yeah.
Because we see a lot of people with strong opinions about this on both sides of this issue. But it's definitely going to impact the hobby. Let's talk about a couple other NBA players as we're getting into this season to take a look at. The first one is LaMelo. So there's a lot of hype about him being brought in on this West Coast team. Is he going to be able to be, step into this role that he could be super helpful in?
Charlotte's on the West Coast?
Charlotte? What are you talking about?
The wrong ocean is what you're talking about.
I am talking about the wrong ocean. Who moved the West Coast to Charlotte?
Yeah, or Charlotte to the West Coast. I got no clue. Preseason started, and we're a few games in.
I was thinking Carmelo.
Yeah,
not LaMelo.
They're not the same
They're
person.
not the same. Carmelo is on the West Coast,
yeah,
and he is going to be in a shooting role.
Maybe.
I think he'll contribute out west, but
yeah, okay.
LaMelo,
so far into preseason has not looked good. He's shooting less than 30% for the field, and it's not been super pretty. I know they played the Mavs last night, and the Mavs beat them by like 70. Like legit, it was like 129 to 56, 57, something like that. It was ugly. And he played 11 minutes, and in his 11 minutes, I think he was 2 for 11 from the field, 1 assist. only took 2 or 3 free throws. It wasn't pretty. The hype on him, his stuff got so overinflated. Like, let's be frank, most of the rookies got overhyped and their stuff got overpriced because it's the only way that people could justify the prices they were paying for boxes. Is this base rookie has to be worth $200 because this box was $1,600 or $3,000 when it first dropped, when Prism first dropped, which is insane. But I don't think that you are going to see LaMelo be the guy whose stuff continues to climb. I think in the long run, he's going to be a slightly above average player. He's going to be culturally relevant because he has such a huge social media following. So he'll make some all-star teams, but you know who else has made a lot of all-star teams? Ben Simmons. He ain't very good.
He's kind of turned out to be a little bit of a turd in the punch bowl.
Who, Ben Simmons?
Yeah, with his attitude.
Yeah, he's pretty much over Philly. Have you spent much time in Philadelphia, personally?
No, I choose not to.
See, if I spent a lot of time in Philadelphia, I think I would be a turd in a punch bowl, too. I'd be like, get me out of this place. These people are nuts.
I don't know. It's kind of nice there.
If you're listening and you're from Philadelphia, I probably don't like you.
If they're listening and they're from Philadelphia, they're already on their way.
Who's next other than LaMelo?
They're going to light your trash on fire in the street and leave it there.
Oh my!
I swear, when they won the Super Bowl, it looked like a it looked like a
It
sequel
looked like
to
Kosovo.
The Purge.
It looked like Kosovo. It was like, what just happened here?
A wartime reference. That's great. All right, moving right along. Let's talk about Golden State Warriors, which is on the West Coast.
It is on the West Coast.
Steph Curry. You know,
on
we've
the north of the
we've
south
got,
part of South
we've got a
California.
little bit of a team here at Golden State that's healthy.
Klay Thompson should be back.
Mm-hmm.
He should have been back last year. We'll see. None of that team is young. The young players on that team aren't getting a lot of minutes to develop. I think that's the biggest concern with Golden State is I think most of the higher ups there and Steve Kerr think that their older players have another run in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. But guys like Jordan Poole, who started to come along last year, are going to suddenly find their minutes drastically cut when Klay's back.
I don't think he's gonna shine like he was. In the last
No,
season.
but he showed so much potential that you, as somebody who's watching the game, sit and you say, man, this team is going to, instead of being on a 2-year downswing when these older guys start to decline, they're going to be on a 5-year downswing because they didn't develop the young talent on the team. You got Jordan Poole, Eric Paschall, even James Wiseman they stopped trusting as the year went on last year.
Yeah.
It was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, having said all that, you know, not to be too negative there, I do think that Steph's prices are only going up.
Yeah, they're not going to go up fast. I mean, when you reach the status and the level that he has where he's a consensus all-time great, he's a consensus first ballot Hall of Famer, he's a consensus best three-point shooter in the history of the game, his stuff isn't going down. Even short-term, you're going to see short-term swings in like more modern stuff of his, like short print, inserts, color, stuff like that. But his rookies aren't going down, but they're also not going to triple overnight.
Right.
You know, when you start buying goats, you're not buying them for fast flips.
Right.
You're buying them
Right,
for
right,
long-term gains.
And that's where I'm coming from. Steph is still like before the season gets hot, if you're thinking about getting in, before he throws up a few of these monster games, might be a time to grab it, but it's a long hold.
Yeah.
But Steph definitely. All right, let's talk about a couple of younger cats. I'll give you the first one. Take the second one. Keldon Johnson.
So I'm a big Keldon Johnson guy. I was big on Keldon Johnson before last year. His career, now I say this just in career trajectory, not necessarily the type of player, because he's not the defensive player that Kawhi was early in his career. But his career trajectory is very similar to what Kawhi's was in San Antonio when he was there. Rookie year, good player, didn't get a ton of minutes, was mostly a defensive guy. Keldon Johnson was mostly a 3-and-D guy too. Second year, more offensive progression, hit some road bumps, very similar to Kawhi. Third year was when Kawhi really blossomed into what he became. And I think that you're going to see a very similar thing from Keldon Johnson. And that team in general's got 2 or 3 guys. It's really eerie because they feel and look and play just like that last group of guys that San Antonio had for 12 years. Derek White plays very much like Tony Parker did. Keldon plays very much like Kawhi did. They've got some guys there that can do some things. And anytime you've got Greg Popovich running the bench, you're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. My big play on a young cat is Darius Garland.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of opportunity there, potential. I think he's legit. Gary and I looked up some comps. He's still on the cheap.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think preseason this may be one that I grab a few of, but PSA 10 base running for $50 right now.
Yeah, base prism, 50 to
and
55
you were seeing
bucks.
some different color variations and SPs that are,
even silvers are like $225 to
Yeah.
$250 in a PSA 10. The thing you got to be wary of with Darius Garland is that it's likely for at least one more year that his advanced metrics are going to be much kinder than his actual counting stats. And that's because Colin Sexton is there, and Colin Sexton is a bit of a ball stop. So when Colin Sexton gets the ball, there's a pretty good chance he's going to be the one shooting. So that's what you got to keep in mind. But the advanced metrics on Darius Garland are legit. Like, the kid can play.
Yeah. Yep. Let's move on to NFL. That's enough NBA talks. Enough about basketball.
All right.
Haven't even started yet. Preseason, you know?
Yeah.
Let's not get too into it. Let's talk about NFL.
Let's talk about NFL.
Lamar.
Oh. So all of the old school talking heads that have said for 3 years, well, what's Lamar going to do when he can't run anymore? He doesn't. Listen, Lamar's the first quarterback in the history of the NFL through 5 games to have the stats that he has. He has more total yards individually than 18 teams in the NFL have through 5 games. He had a game the other night where he completed 75% of his passes for 400 yards and still ran for 65.
And he can run like that.
And he doesn't take hits. Is he a great thrower of the football? Not yet. But if he continues to progress the way he has his first 3 years in the league, he will be. People forget Tom Brady, the first 2 or 3 years of his career, was not a great thrower of the football. He was a great processor of information. He was a great reader of defenses. He was not a great thrower of the football. He became a great thrower of the football. And Lamar is on the same path as far as his progression in throwing the ball goes. And then you add the fact that he can run like he runs. And you add the fact, and I've said this before, when I look at quarterbacks in the NFL, I look primarily at how their teammates respond to them.
Yeah.
That team loves him and believes in him. They could be down 30 with 5 minutes left, and they think that he has a chance to lead them back.
Yeah. Let's flip the coin then. The team looks at him like that. We talk about him way too much. This might be the last time. It really might. Tua's back from his debilitating injury where he was carted off the field. Dramatic fashion with a broken rib. He's coming back, going up against the Jags. Like, is this Tua's last little chance, at least as far as the hobby goes? I've heard a little bit of buzz of people buying him up. If he has a good game, comes back from an injury. People are saying this, which as a Dolphins fan, I want to believe, but it's not true. It's like, he's just now getting healthy is what people are saying.
No.
That's not accurate.
No.
And it's like, well, he won the last game he played. Yeah. This is kind of, I think he's got like a couple of games here coming back from this injury to validate, or it's time to pitch him and look somewhere else.
If he can't play well against and beat the Jags, that's it. And I've been on the record, and anybody with ears that listens to this podcast or knows me in real life that talks football with me or talks cards with me, I've been saying since last year, the dude is not an NFL quarterback. He's not a starting NFL quarterback. He will have a long career as a backup, but he's not good. And I say that, listen, I know there's going to be people out here listening to this going, well, you're just sitting down in your basement talking about this stuff. You're right. In the great,
They might talk a little more like
Yeah.
this because they're down from Alabama.
in the great grand
Come
scheme
on, man.
of
I'm
things,
making fun of Alabama.
Alabamians,
Alabamans?
Alabamians. What's somebody that's from Alabama that's listening to this? Jump on the
I almost
Facebook
said
page and
something
tell us.
so bad.
I'm glad you didn't. That was a keep it to yourselfer. No, in general though, in the great grand scheme of humanity,
Oh.
Tua is a top 0.5% athlete. Okay, so I recognize that. But in comparison to other quarterbacks in the NFL, I can literally list you 40 to 45 people I would rather have playing quarterback for me than Tua.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of people in the league that feel that way. I
And
think
one
his
of
head
them
coach
is Terry
feels that way.
Bradshaw right now.
You know, I think that Brian Flores is one of those people. I think that the team that's around him wants Jacoby Brissett to keep playing. Jacoby Brissett hasn't won any games, but he's played better than Tua did.
So all this to say, if you're not collecting as a Dolphins fan or a team fan,
Sell.
it's sell, or if there's a gamble, man, I hope they can get past the Jags. But if you want a little bit of a bump or recovery from where you bought him after this game, if he puts up 3 touchdowns and the Dolphins win, it's probably time to sell that card.
If he just doesn't throw 2 picks and they win, like the game could legitimately be a situation where it's like a 12-6 game with no touchdowns.
Speaking of 12-6 game, I'm gonna change the subject on us
Okay.
right now. What in the HE double field goals,
Hockey sticks?
sticks, double uprights? That's what I was trying to say.
That's what you're shooting
But
for.
try it again. Ready?
Yeah.
What in the HE double uprights is going on with a field goal situation in the NFL?
I mean, it's kickers, man.
It's way worse than normal.
Yeah, I agree with you, but there's no answer that is going to make any sense. Anybody who's played football for any period of their life where kickers were around and involved will tell you that kickers tend to be the weirdest dudes on a team. They kind of just go do their own thing. Nobody really knows what that thing is other than the special teams coach, and then you hope they can win a game for you here or there.
Talk about what it was like for you as a Bengals fan
Oh, my
with
God.
this Packers game.
That game was miserable.
I was so entertained.
Oh, I know you were. You kept
What
texting
was it?
me.
I was delayed behind you by about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that made it real entertaining.
It was awful. So
And my neighbors, like across the backyard, I was on the patio watching the game. They have a patio like across the fence, and they're huge Green Bay fans, and they were 30 seconds behind me. So when the Packers kept missing these field goals or missing these plays, I would get like front row seats just in time to watch them flip out and lose their mind. It was a really good time.
So my issue with that game in general was the fact that you've got a rookie kicker against a team that most people coming into the season felt was a Super Bowl contender. The Bengals are 3-1. They're at home.
Feel good to say that?
Yeah. You're 3-1. You're at home. You've played really well against this team. The end of regulation, you have a chance to win. It's a 54-yard field goal. You try it, you miss. Okay, that happens. It's a rookie kicker. Okay. Overtime, you win the toss, and Joe Burrow brain farts on the first play, throws a terrible pick. And as a Bengals fan, I'm just like, well, there we go. We Bengaled it.
Young guys.
Great.
Yeah.
And then Mason Crosby misses his 87th field goal of the day, and you're like, we're still alive.
And my thought is, man, it must be really windy down there. Like, if you've not been to Cincinnati, it's right off of the river. It does
can
get
be, but it
breezy.
wasn't.
In Columbus, it was windy. So then I look at the uprights.
Yeah.
And
The flags aren't
the
moving.
flags aren't moving at all.
No.
So it's just, they're just hooking it.
So we get the ball back in overtime, and it's like, all right, so the one thing about Burrow's nice is he has a short memory, which all successful quarterbacks have to have. He comes out, leads them down the field, and you get a 4th and like 8 inches. You're at home. Your defense has played pretty well.
Your kicker has not.
Exactly. I feel like the right choice there is to go for it and not risk the field goal. And the most embarrassing part about that field goal attempt was he kicks it and thinks he made it.
Yeah,
and he starts celebrating.
jumping up.
Yes, and they're like hugging each other, like, and he missed the field goal. It was pretty
See
embarrassing.
when he went to the sidelines with his coach, he's like, I thought it would end. And they're looking at him like you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was rough. But I don't know what's going on with field goals this year. There's been a lot of missed PATs and a lot of missed field goals.
Yeah, I think everybody saw Justin Tucker's monster kick, and they're just like, I got this.
But they don't
But
got
then
this.
they didn't got this.
They didn't got this.
Let's
at
talk
all.
about your favorite rookie QB. It's not Trevor Lawrence.
No, it's not. It's not Mac Jones. It's not Zach Wilson by any stretch of the imagination because Zach Wilson is awful. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's awful. That being said, I do have a Donruss Vortex numbered 100 of 100 of his. And the minute he has a game that's not straight trash, I'm selling it. So if you've got Zach Wilson stuff, the minute he has a game that's not straight trash, sell it. Davis Mills, I've talked about him 2 or 3 different times. And all of a sudden, he's starting in Houston. And all of a sudden, he's playing better than the 5 first-round rookie quarterbacks. Not by a little bit, by a lot. He started 2 games. He's got as many touchdown passes as Trevor Lawrence, as many as Mac Jones. His QBR is better than Trevor Lawrence's. It's better than Zach Wilson's. It's better than Justin Fields. Mac Jones's is a little bit better than his. But he's played 2 games. The kid was a borderline first-round talent as a junior at Stanford, and then COVID year was rough on him. He drops to the 4th round, but he looks in command of that offense, and he doesn't have anything around him, man. Like, the best player on that team besides him on the offensive side of the ball is Brandon Cooks. Like, that's what he's got.
Yeah.
He's throwing to nobody, and he's putting up numbers.
And he's pretty affordable in the hobby.
He's very affordable right now. He won't be for long, though. I'll tell you this. The first 6 or 7 weeks of the year last year, guess who else was super cheap? Justin Herbert. Chargers weren't even locked in breaks. You could just take the Chargers.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on Davis Mills.
No. All right, let's move on to our fun little activity.
Oh, yeah. So we decided that we're going to have a little competition. And if any of you out there listening want to be part of this competition with us, jump on the Facebook page at the Ball Card Show. Join the page. Tell us that you're jumping in this competition, and we'll have some fun with it.
We can post pictures of what we're going to do the competition with, and then you can as well.
And you can as well, for sure. So I don't know if any of you remember back in the nascent years of social media and blogs and MySpace, a guy started a website called the Red Paperclip Project. He started the blog with this idea that he had a red paperclip, and he just wanted to start trading it for random things and see where it ended up. Over the course of about 3 years, he turned that red paperclip into a house. Legitimately turned it into a house. With no cash out of his pocket, he just started trading the red paperclip for things. At one point, he traded it for a pen, an ink pen that was one of those clicker pens that had like nudie pics of chicks in it. Like you'd click it and their clothes would come off, and you click it again and their clothes would come back on. He traded it for that, and then he traded that for something else. At some point, he traded one of the things he had gotten for this rare snow globe. And Paul Stanley from KISS collects snow globes, so he got something really valuable from Paul Stanley for that. And long story short, he ended up with a house in Canada from this project. So all that being said, Jason and I were talking, and we are going to play our own little version of the red paperclip game. We are each starting with a slabbed card that is already in our collection, both valued at roughly $100. Jason's going to throw out an SGC 10 Zion Williamson rated rookie, just a base rated rookie, Donruss, about a $100 card. And I am going to do the same thing with a 2020 Optic Green Velocity CD Lamb that is also an SGC 10. We're going to start this process. We're going to go for about 6 months, and we're going to see who ends up where. The rules are simple. We start with that card. We can add 0 cash to anything. It is straight up what we do. So if we sell these cards for $100 a piece, then we've got $100 in cash, but that's all we can utilize. If I want to buy another graded card, I either have to find a really good deal on something, or I can buy a $70 raw card and take my $30 and spend it on SGC to get it graded and see what happens. So we're going to have some fun with it. It should be a a little piece that we can talk about a little bit every week.
We
And
keep you
guys
updated.
Yeah. And if you, like I said, if you want to join in on this with us, jump on the Facebook page and tell us you're coming in and post a picture of the card you're starting with. And it's going to be an honor system thing. Now, if you tell us one day that you're starting with a $100 card and 3 weeks from now you've got a Mike Trout rookie and a PSA 10, we're not going to believe you.
And also, you can trade me that for a rated
For a
rookie
Donruss
10.
rated rookie.
Zion.
So, and if you don't want to participate in the challenge with us, but you're interested in being a part of it as a trading partner, shoot us something that you want to trade for these cards, and we'll see if it makes sense.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Let's do this.
Should be fun.
Should be a good time. Are we done?
I think that's all the show notes.
That's the show notes down in the studio.
Yeah.
Take 47.
And by show notes, we mean half a sheet of notebook paper, and by studio, we mean basement on a ping pong table.
Wow. The other side of this is, I think, our first ever. No, this was episode 2.
Oh, we recycle around here.
That's right. That's right.
We recycle around here.
Well, we thank you for joining the Ball Card Show, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, the sports podcast.
For the sports collector.
See you later.
Peace.